Hey guys, it's Sarah, and today I'm going to be doing my October book haul. So for this book haul, I ended up doing it kind of vlog style. I wanted to show you guys the books when I got it, partially because I wanted to be able to put them on my shelves right away, because before I was just like waiting until I was ready to film the book haul to put them on my shelves, which just like is annoying and has books everywhere in the house. So I'll be going into that little mini vlog in a second. I do have a book outlet order that I just got, and I'll be showing you all of those. Before we get to both of those, I just want to talk a little bit about some of the audiobooks that I got recently. So Audible does this like daily deal thing where they basically have an audiobook that is only for $5 for that day only. And every once in a while, I'll see a book on it that I've been wanting to read. So I'll check with my library and see if that book is available. And if it's not, then I'll get it on Audible because I know I'm going to be reading it eventually. So the first book on this list that I got is A Winter's Promise by Christelle Dabos. So this book, I don't really know very much about it. I've seen a lot of people talking about this book. It's a fantasy book that was translated from French because it's a French author. And I've just been really interested in this book, so I decided to pick that one up. The next book that I picked up is The Promise of Blood by Brian McClellan. So this is the first book in an adult high fantasy series, and it's one that I've had my eye on for a while and just haven't really gotten around to because I don't own any of the books in the series, and my library doesn't have the audiobooks or anything like that, and I don't like borrowing ebooks. So I've been meaning to buy a physical book of it, but since the audiobook was on sale, I decided to grab it, and hopefully I'll get to it soon, and I really hope that I'll end up liking it. The last one is Senlin Ascends by Josiah Bancroft. This is another first book in a high fantasy series that I've had my eye on for a while, and I will definitely be getting to it next year. I'm really excited for it because I've heard really great things about this one. Okay, so now that I've talked about the audiobooks a little bit, we'll move on to like my mini vlog before getting to the book outlet haul. So I was like in the area of Books A Million earlier today, so I just decided to pick up a few books while I was in the area. There were a few things that I've been meaning to read, and I just kind of browsed and found a few books that I really wanted, so I ended up picking them up. So the first one I picked up is Blood Song by Anthony Ryan. This one's not actually going to be going on my TBR shelf because I'm planning on reading this next year, and I have a whole plan for the fantasy series that I'm picking up next year. This is potentially one of those series, so it'll just go on my regular shelves, but I'm pretty excited for this. This is the first novel in a fantasy trilogy by Anthony Ryan. I recently read Pilgrimage of Swords, which is also by Anthony Ryan, and I found that I really liked his writing style. I don't know anything about this series itself, but I'm really excited to read more of his work, so that's why I decided to pick this book up. The next book I picked up was Gemina by Kristoff and Amie Kaufman. I really enjoyed Illuminae, and I liked the format of Illuminae. I understand a lot of people really like the audiobook. I personally enjoyed having like the different pictures and stuff like that. So I did want to continue on with this series physically. So I decided to just pick up the physical copy for Gemina because I don't borrow physical books just because my library is so far away from me. I have this one. I think I'm going to continue on with this next month. I think I will. So I'm going to put it up top over here on the TBR shelf. Oh, that top shelf is getting very packed. I don't know if I'm gonna get to all of these books next month. And the last one I picked up was The Essential Tales of H.P. Lovecraft, of course, by H.P. Lovecraft. So this is just like a collection of H.P. Lovecraft's stories. I definitely want to read more of his stuff. Last month I read At the Mountains of Madness, and I really enjoyed it. Like, it was one of the first horror novels that I was just like, I like this. Oh my gosh, I actually like this. I'm excited to read more of his stuff. So when I saw this book with like, it's pretty thick actually for the size of this book, and it has quite a few of his stories in it. Yeah, so it has At the Mountains of Madness, The Call of Cthulhu, whatever, I don't know how to pronounce that. The Color Out of Space, The Dunwich Horror, The Shadow Out of Time, which I've heard is really good, The Shadow over Innsmouth, The Whisper in Darkness, and then The Life and Times of H.P. Lovecraft, as well as further reading, whatever that means. I'm pretty excited for that one too. I love my new TBR shelf, just saying. Okay, I just got this book today, and I'm so excited to share with you guys because I pre-ordered this book and I'm so excited to have it. And that's the illustrated edition of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire by J.K. Rowling, illustrated by Jim Kay. I have the first 3 illustrated editions, and I've never actually read the illustrated editions. So I definitely have to do a reread soon of the illustrated editions because I'm pretty excited for this. I've looked through it just like a little bit. My favorite illustrations are the dragons in the back, so let me see if I can find some for you. Oh, that is creepy. Voldemort. That scene, super creepy. His face. Oh, that's super creepy also. I'm totally giving away spoilers for Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire right now. The Yule Ball, the dragon. This is so good. I really, really love this. I think there should be, yep, there's one of Harry flying away too. I'm so excited to finally read this one. You guys have no idea. I forgot to film this before I put the books on the shelves, so I figured I would just share it with you guys now. Recently, I read Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett, and I really, really enjoyed it. So I just decided to get like a bunch of his other books. So I got the 2 other books in his series that follows Pillars of the Earth, which is World Without End and Column of Fire. Pillars of the Earth was just such a beautiful, well-built world. So I was like super excited to continue on with the series. So World Without End occurs like 200 years after Pillars of the Earth, following the ancestors of Pillars of the Earth. And I'm really excited to get to it. Column of Fire is like about 200 years or so after that, which I'm also super excited for. And then we have his Century trilogy, which includes Fall of Giants, Winter of the World, and Edge of the Eternity. So this one is also historical fiction, but it's set in a different time period than Pillars of the Earth was and all of those. So I'm excited to see what he does with like a more modern time period. So I'm definitely excited for this series as well. So I have been ordering some stuff from Amazon this month, and a lot of times when I do some Amazon orders, I like to add like a book or 2 to the cart to make it over $35 so I can get the free same-day shipping. So I have 4 books that I got from Amazon for that reason. It's generally books that I like have my eye on, that I've been wanting to read, but just kind of haven't gotten around to actually ordering them. So the first one is Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski. So obviously I've already read this book. I've listened to the audiobook for this. I have like 4 of the other books in this series, and I just never got around to buying this book. So I've definitely had my eye on this one. I've really wanted to get a physical copy of this book since I really like the series and I want to have the whole series physically eventually. This is a series of short stories that is like a second series of short stories in the Witcher series. So the first series of short stories is The Last Wish, which I already have. And then after this series of short stories starts the actual novels in the series, which I believe there are 5 of them, maybe 6, I'm not sure. But I think it's 5 actual novels in this series, and I'm on the first novel right now, and so far I'm really loving this series, so I wanted to have a copy of Sword of Destiny. The next book I picked up is Republic of Thieves by Lynch. So this is the 3rd book in the Gentleman Bastard series. I recently read the first book in the series, The Lies of Locke Lamora, and I really, really enjoyed it, and I have a feeling Lynch is going to be like one of my favorite authors, so I decided to get Republic of Thieves because I already own the 2nd book in the series, Red Seas Under Red Skies. I'm definitely excited to read that one and to get to this one soon as well. So I figured might as well have it on my shelf ready and waiting for me. The next book I picked up is A City of Stairs by Robert Jackson Bennett. Earlier this year, I read Foundryside by Robert Jackson Bennett. That was the first book that I read by him, and I really, really enjoyed it. But I've heard his previous series, which the first book in it is City of Stairs, is really good. So I've been wanting to pick this one up. So I decided to just grab it. I don't really know anything about this book other than it's by Robert Jackson Bennett and it's a fantasy series, which just like, I want to try it. So we'll see how this one goes. And lastly, I decided to pick up Heir of Fire by Sarah J. Maas. I know this is surprising to most of you guys because I was really against the Throne of Glass series earlier this year, like super, super against it. My August TBR poll was giving a series a second chance, and the winner of that poll was the Throne of Glass series, and I ended up reading Crown of Midnight last month, and I enjoyed Crown of Midnight a lot more than I was expecting to. Like, I really didn't expect to like Crown of Midnight at all, even though like the series in general, like if you talk about the Throne of Glass series and what it's actually about, it would be kind of tailored to my reading taste. I just really didn't enjoy the first book, and I hadn't expected to really enjoy the second book either, and the first half of the second book I didn't really enjoy, but I did really enjoy kind of the second half of the second book. And I've heard that Heir of Fire is really good. So I decided to continue on with the series. My library doesn't have a copy of the audiobooks though, and I really don't enjoy reading ebooks, so I decided to get Heir of Fire since it was pretty cheap, and I think I'll enjoy reading it physically more than borrowing the ebook from my library. And I've heard this one is like one of the best ones in the series, so I'm excited to see if I can really get into this series or not, because it's a series that so many people have read, so I kind of like, I want to like it, let's put it that way. So I decided to get this one, and hopefully I'll end up really liking it. Okay, so for my book outlet haul, it's a little bit different than like the other books that I buy, because I generally just look on Book Outlet for books that I've had my eye on previously. And generally they're books that I haven't bought for one reason or another, just because I don't really have plans on reading them right away, or maybe I've already read the book, really liked it, and I've just been waiting to find a deal on this book. So there are actually quite a few books. There are a lot of them. The first book on this list is Holding Up the Universe by Jennifer Niven. This is a YA contemporary. I've actually already read this book. I listened to the audiobook earlier this year, I believe. I really enjoy it. I do like reading YA contemporaries occasionally, and I like having physical copies of them just because I prefer to read them physically rather than as audiobooks. And whenever I see one that I've rated really highly, I like to try and have a physical copy of it because I do like rereading these occasionally. So I decided to pick up Holding Up the Universe. So this one is about a girl who's overweight. She's like 600 pounds, I think. Yes, she weighed in her heaviest weight at 653 pounds. So she's one of those people that like is very notorious, like everyone knows who she is, but she's actually like really lonely. And then the guy that this book also follows is like a people person who like is known by everyone also, but doesn't really have very many friends. So it's about kind of like two lonely people and how they deal with that. In my opinion, it was a very well-written book and I really enjoyed it. The next book I decided to pick up is Obsidio by Amie Kaufman and Kristoff. So this is the third book in the Illuminate Files trilogy, which I recently read the first book in the trilogy, and I just bought the second book, so I decided to get the third book just because I've been liking this series a lot more than I was expecting to, and I'm excited to continue on with it. The next book I decided to pick up is Dune by Frank Herbert. So this is the book that I've been meaning to read for a while, and it's also one of those that I feel like I want to read physically, not just listen to the audiobook, because I've heard a lot of like not so great things about the audiobook. So this is kind of like a classic sci-fi book that I just like. I've been getting a lot more into sci-fi books ever since September with the Tome Infinity and Beyond Readathon, so I'm definitely excited to get to this one. So the next book I decided to pick up is The Dark Forest by Cixin. So this is the sequel to The Three-Body Problem. I read The Three-Body Problem in September and I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4.5 stars, so I was really excited to continue on with this series. So when I saw this book on Book Outlet, I was just like, yes, I need this book right away. So I'm really excited for this. And The Three-Body Problem is about, I don't even know how to explain The Three-Body Problem. It's really interesting. There's some really interesting mysteries there, and I love the way the reveals happen, and it's a really interesting world, and I'm excited to continue on it. The next books that I got are a couple books in the Chronicles of the Unhewn Throne, including The Emperor's Blade, Providence of Fire, and Skullsworn. So this is a series that I've heard a lot about recently, and I've been really interested in actually getting to. I believe this is grimdark fantasy. If it's not, you could correct me down in the comments, but like I've heard so many great things about this series, so I definitely want to check it out. When I saw this on Book Outlet, I was like so surprised, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I need this now. So I decided to pick them up. So the next book I picked up is Reckoning of a Mad God by R.A. Salvatore. I'm a little angry about this book because it doesn't have a dust jacket, and the description didn't say that it didn't have a dust jacket. So I'm a little angry about that. That's what you get when you buy cheap books. This is the second book in the Covenant series by R.A. Salvatore. I've been wanting to read some of R.A. Salvatore's works, but I wanted to start with like one of his smaller series rather than his really big one. So that's why I decided to pick this one up. I already have Child of Mad God, which I hauled in my last book haul, which I'll link that up in the cards if you guys want to check that out. And I'm pretty excited for this series, so yeah. The next book that I decided to pick up is To Green Angel Tower by Tad Williams. This is the third book in Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. It is ginormous, by the way. Like, I believe it was originally split up into 2 books, but then they like released it as 1 book, and I'm super excited for this. I actually have not read the first book in this series, The Dragonbone Chair. I definitely plan on getting to it next year, hopefully early next year. So I'm definitely excited to have a copy of this one ready and waiting for me when I finally get to this series. Next, I have a few books by Raymond E. Feast. So Raymond E. Feast is an author that I've been really interested in reading, and I already have some books by him. A lot of his series are sequels to like previous series, so that's why I haven't really gotten around to reading his works, because I don't have the first series yet. But I got 4 of his books, including Wrath of a Mad God, which is the 3rd book in the Dark War saga. Then I got Krondar the Betrayed, Krodar the Assassins, and Krodar Tears of the Gods. And these are the books 1 through 3 in the Rift War Legacy. So this is one of the trilogies. I believe it's like smack dab in the middle of like his greater series. When I saw them on Book Outlet, and they're the mass market paperback versions, which I really love reading mass market paperbacks, and they're super, super cheap, especially on Book Outlet, I decided to just pick them up because I know I'm gonna buy these eventually, and I'm definitely excited to read them. On a similar note, I bought a few books by Anne McCaffrey. So Anne McCaffrey is the writer of the Dragon Riders of Pern series, which I've read the first 3 books in that series, and I'm definitely excited to continue on with that series. I'm hoping to read a lot of these next year. So I ended up getting The Girl Who Heard Dragons, Dragon Songs, and Dragon Drums. So this is the first and the 3rd book in the Harper Hall trilogy, and I believe this is just a standalone within the Dragon Riders of Pern like world. The Harper Hall trilogy is the next trilogy that I'll be reading in this world, so I'm really excited to have these. Obviously, I'm gonna have to buy the second one, Dragon Singer, I believe it is, eventually, but they didn't have it on Book Outlet, so I don't have it yet. But I'm definitely really excited to get to these because it's a very interesting world. I love this world. So it's set on another planet in which this red dust falls onto the planet, and it is harmful to all organic life, but the dragons can eat this dust, and they help make sure that life continues on in this world. So the humans have this relationship with dragons where there are dragon riders and stuff, and this whole society, and I absolutely love it. And lastly, I got the Last Chronicles of Thomas Covenant series by Stephen R. Donaldson, which includes Against All Things, Fatal Revenant, and The Runes of the Earth. I don't actually know very much about the series at all, and I do realize it's similar to the other series that I mentioned where there are several different trilogies within a greater series, and this is the last trilogy in that series, so obviously I'll be starting with the first trilogy in the series, but it is one that I definitely want to get to eventually. I've never read Stephen R. Donaldson before, and I definitely have wanted to try his stuff, and since I saw this available on Book Outlet for really cheap, I decided to just pick it up because they're books that I'm probably going to end up picking up in the future anyway, so might as well get it now for less. So I'm definitely excited for this series. So that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I post videos frequently on this channel, so consider subscribing. If you like this video, please give it a big thumbs up to support my channel. All social media links are in the description down below. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.